today. So let's just jump into it. I am gonna call up our guests now. So first up, we have Kimberly Brooks, who you might know as Ashley Williams in Mass Effect, Jasper from Steven Universe, or Princess Allura from Voltron Legendary Defender. Everybody give it up.
Am I?
You pick or choose. Any seat works.
Thank you.
No problem. And second up, we got Josh Keaton, who is Shiro in Voltron Legendary Defender, Peter Parker in The Spectacular Spider-Man, Young Hercules, and many, many other roles as well. Give it up. Woo! Thank you for joining us. All right. I've got Richard Epcar, who is in Ghost of the Shell, Mortal Kombat. He's the Joker in Injustice. He's in literally countless other characters and lots of video games and anime. Thank you for joining us. And finally, I got Carey Means, who is Frylock in Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Thundercleese in The Brack Show, and most recently a character in Welcome to the Wayne on Nick. Thanks for coming.
All right. Green bagpipes? What is that?
What I was thinking. I reread it.
Conversation starter. Okay, there you go.
So how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Awesome.
How's your con been so far?
It's been great.
Good.
This has been a really cool con. I'm enjoying it.
I'm a big fan too, yeah. So, okay, my first question for you guys is, what was your background before you started doing VO? Like, were you into like live action stuff or theater or nothing or whatever?
Me?
Yeah, you can start
Okay.
Dan, yeah. Go down the line.
I have a theater background. I started doing children's theater when I was like 8 years old, and I loved it. And I was always in every play at my high school. I was a theater major at Cal State Long Beach. So yeah, a lot of musical theater. And then, but it's a really nice transition from that to voiceover. I felt like that really like lended itself to that. So I got started in voiceover more than 25 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I do. The on-camera thing takes too much time.
Right.
I was a former child actor, and I started when I was real little, like 4 years old, doing commercials, things like that. There wasn't a lot of opportunity for voiceover at that age because they would usually hire adults for kids' roles because they would work longer hours and they're easier to direct. But I started moving into it more probably around when I did Young Hercules in the Disney movie, and then I started focusing more on voiceover. But I've done a bunch of other stuff. Like I'm also a singer, so I was in a boy band in the '90s, and so that was a few years of my life, and toured Europe and came back and did some more on camera, and then I think the thing that really solidified it for me was there was this big writer's strike where a lot of on-camera stuff, the parts really dried up for on-camera actors who weren't already famous, and that didn't really affect animation at all. So it just so happened that I was lucky enough to get some pretty good roles in animation at that time, and then I never really looked back. I love doing this, and I get to work with amazing people, and yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started out in theater originally, and I was pretty much, when I was a little kid in grade school, I would do little skits and plays in kindergarten and first grade and write these silly skits and do them, and I kind of thought I was going to wind up as an actor at some point anyway, so that's what happened. I went to college and I got a full drama scholarship, and then moved out to LA and did a lot of soaps and TV shows and things like that, and I kind of fell into this business a little bit, and it's turned out to be actually a great blessing in many, many ways, and I'm really grateful for it, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Sweet. Before my voice changed, or to be a little more specific, before they dropped, I sounded like my sister. When I was growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, I'd answer the phone and go, "Hello." And they'd be like, "Hey, baby, what you doing?" "This ain't Karen, I'll go get her." But when my voice finally changed, I sounded like my dad. And they were like, "Excuse me, sir, can I talk to your daughter?" "Yeah, hold on a second. I'll go get her." So, back in the 70s and 80s, there was it was interesting growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, because the song Atomic Dog came out, and all my classmates were like, Carey, do the bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay, bow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay. And I could mimic my teachers and fellow students and some of my family members, and I could pretty much mimic anything if I listened to it long enough. And of course, I grew up with Warner Brothers cartoons, and Mel Blanc was a huge influence for me. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, the list goes on and on. Man of a thousand voices, they called him. So I was like, this is interesting. Maybe I can do the same thing. So I started doing theater as well. When I was in college, on a dare, somebody came to my dorm room and said, I bet you won't. I said, I bet I will.
Right.
I'll take you up on that. Double dog dare me if you want to. So I started singing. I'm classically trained. I've sang with the Atlanta Opera Chorus, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra Chorus, respectively. And I've done the Ren Fair here in Georgia, lots of musical theater and stuff like that. So it just kind of segued. It was a natural transition, basically. I've always gotten compliments on my voice, and I was like, well, I'll give this thing a shot. You know, what the heck? So I auditioned for Frylock over the phone in the break room of my day job in Sandy Springs. The fax machine. There was something once upon a time, kids, called a fax machine.
Never heard of
People would send you things through the air, and it would go, So I'm standing there reading the script for Rabbit, the very first episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. No, Meatwad, don't get the jam box. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm not gonna get this gig. Box of floating fries, this will never work. So here we are, a few years later, Thundercleese, The Brack Show. Now I'm doing Jonah Bishop on Welcome to the Wayne on Nickelodeon. It's fun, and I love doing cons, so hello, Momo.
So my question, a lot of you guys mentioned that you came from like musical theater background, and I've heard that a lot from voice actors. I think that it's like something that makes a lot of sense. Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it at first, but like, why do you think that it is so beneficial for voice acting?
I've said that music is like, or singing is like yoga for your voice. It's probably one of the best things that you can do to improve your skills as a voice actor. It will improve your breath control, it'll improve your ear, it'll improve your pitch, your timing, your vocal stamina. And there's really no downside to it. I mean, that would be one of my biggest points of advice for anybody that wants to get into voice acting, is to just sing. Doesn't matter if you suck, do it anyway, because you will get better, and even if you don't, it'll still improve your instrument. And I mean, that's why I think that a lot of people who can do musical theater really have a good transition into it, because they're already masters of using their voice.
Right.
And also your diaphragm.
Absolutely.
I use those same techniques for singing. Sometimes you never know. A lot of these characters, especially video game characters, there's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of vocal stress. But if you have the same tools that opera singers use, you can protect your voice a little bit more. So definitely, all of that stuff works together. Sure.
So, like, what's the difference for voicing characters in animation versus like doing a video game voice?
The first thing that comes to my mind is
if you're doing
screaming.
dubbing, for example, there's a real rhythm to it.
Yeah, it's like a technical.
You know, I'm a drummer, and I'm a lot of the people that work on. I mean, I started out doing a lot of dubbing stuff. I do a lot of games and stuff now, but there's a real rhythm to it, and you kind of, people that are not musical have a real difficult time with it, I find. And people that have some music in their background, whether it be singers or play instruments, they can see the rhythm to it and they can really do it. And also what you mentioned about, all of us, we're vocal athletes. Don't think for a second that we are not killing our throats all the time. We're in that booth all the time, screaming and yelling, and it is really tough on your voice, and you really have to know how to do this stuff correctly, otherwise you can really screw up your instrument, and you don't want to do that because then you're out of business.
Right. So, like, you talked about dubbing. How does that differ from other forms, you think?
Well, it's a different skill set. With animation that's not dubbed, typically you're reading together in the room with other actors in the show, so you have that real organic back and forth flow, whereas with dubbing, the animation's already done and everything's already voiced. So, you know, you can bring what you can bring to the character, but you're still locked into the original timing and pacing, and in a lot of cases, a similar performance style to how in most anime in the way that the Japanese was recorded.
Yeah.
So and that's different. That's just a different skill set. And singing actually would help a lot in that because you're used to hearing things and then knowing the timing and then repeating it at the same time.
And Japanese specifically dubbing is really, I find, difficult because the lip flaps, matching the lip flaps, but also the way they emote is a lot different. So maybe the dialogue doesn't necessarily match the emotion. So it's fun. It's hard. It's very technical, and it's hard to find that balance of bringing what you can to it, and then also, you know, sticking with like the parameters that are set for you. I work on South Park, and Trey records the entire show. All of the characters, so when I go in, I'm just dubbing what he already did, but I have to bring my own essence to it, but it's very, very technical, and they have you're talking about rhythm and cadence and musicality. It's very musical, it's notes, like you have to, and I didn't realize before Richard said that, I use a lot of those musical, you know, all of that in what I've learned as a musician in voiceover, and I didn't really realize it till you said that. It's very musical.
It all comes back.
Yes, classy.
So, what's been your biggest challenge, you think, for each of you, or any of you, as coming into being a voice actor from whatever your background is?
Besides competing with this air conditioning system?
Oh,
And whatever music is back there, too.
I swear to God, it's like trying to talk in a submarine over here. It's really bizarre. I don't know what the heck.
Like a semi.
You gotta be like old radio and put your hand over your ear and talk like that.
Yeah.
Are they grinding people up over there? What's going on? It's just really...
We should have someone investigate, honestly. Do you guys have any funny stories from the booth? I know that people
This
always
guy
like to
has
hear that
funny
story.
stories, I'm telling you right now.
Oh.
Funny stories. Well, there was this one time. Actually, there's a lot of ad-libbing going on the Atwood Teen show. And there was one episode where we, Wayne the Brain McClain, which was portrayed by Seth MacFarlane. This is like right back when Family Guy was taking off and everything like that. I didn't meet him personally. I guess he phone passed his stuff in, which, by the way, when we recorded Atwood Teen, most of the time I'm in the booth by myself, or Dave Willis is there directing me, and Matt Malero is outside on the other side of the glass, or Dave Willis is back there doing Carl, Meatwad, Ignignot, Boxy Brown, stuff like that. And they direct me on how to do it. But what was funny was the first commentary we did for the first box set of DVDs, and we were all in this room together, and they flew Dana in for this and everything like that. It's like, hi, I'm Dave Willis. Hi, I'm Carey Means. Hi, I'm Dana Snyder. It was very, very droll, very boring. So they decided for the next box set to provide us with some beers. So it got kind of lively at that next box set recording with all the folks in there. It was like, yeah, I know what kind of smoke that is. You see that? Oh boy. So you can really actually see the difference, because it was kind of hard to understand how the cadence they wanted for Frylock to be. They said he wanted to be real smooth and real cool. And you know, when you try to talk real smooth and real cool, you end up talking slower and try to make it sound sexy. And they're like, okay, Carey, pick up the pace. You know, we got to get out of here today. You know, so it's interesting, because when we were doing the Wayne the Brain McClain episode, they were like, we need some ad-libs here. You know, so I go, booyaka, booyaka. So I'm winning money. They just cracked up. They guffawed. I was like, you never heard nobody say booyaka?
Booyaka.
Where y'all been at? Booyaka. You know, we're going to blow up like a fat man smoking in a gas station. Things of that nature. You know, so on and so forth.
Talking about direction, what's the weirdest direction you think you guys have ever gotten, or just anything that stands out?
Well, I have a funny story I want to share too, real quick, if that's okay.
Okay.
I replaced Billy Zane in Kingdom Hearts, the game, and the first time I came in, they had 6 Japanese producers in the booth, and they had 6 guys from Disney in the booth, and I would do one line, and the engineer would come on the talkback and say, just a minute, and they would talk amongst themselves for like 5 minutes. They come back, can you do that line a little slower? So I do the line a little slower and come back on the thing. Just a minute. They talk amongst themselves for another 5-10 minutes, come back, can you do that a little faster? And this went on all day, and I felt like I wanted to jump off a cliff. And finally there was a break, and I pulled the engineer aside, and I said, how did Christopher Lee handle it? He said, all right, I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. I'm going to read this script from the top to the bottom, and then I'm going home. And I thought, how
Wow.
cool is that?
That's awesome.
So I loved him after that. Yeah, it was great.
You gotta stick it to him.
I have a funny, well, it's a weird, yeah, I guess it's a funny story. When I was young, I was in a show called Back to the Future, the animated series, and I was one of Doc Brown's kids. And he had 2 kids in the 3rd movie, and so me and the other voice actor, we were rambunctious. You know, I was maybe 10 or 11. He was probably like 9 or 10. And they had a pool table at the studio. And instead of playing pool, you know, we, like dumb kids, thought it would be more fun to just fling the balls around the table and see how many bumpers we could hit before it stopped. Well, I did it, and I was a little too enthusiastic, and the ball basically came back up and flew up off the table and bam, smacked me right in the mouth.
Ouch.
And I had no idea anything was wrong until I felt something around, and I ended up spitting out 2 of my front teeth, or pieces of 2 of my front teeth, this one and this one.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and it was crazy. And at this time, I was still doing a lot of on camera, so I was like, oh no, my teeth! I was freaking out. And so we went to the dentist, the emergency dentist. There's a dentist who does, or he just retired, but he pretty much did all the child actors' fake teeth. They would have these things called flippers, where if a kid needed to be in a commercial but was missing some teeth, they would put in these fake little things, and you would do your commercial, and nobody would be the wiser. Well, I got these. It was just like that bonding material, whatever they use, that's white and looks like a tooth, because they were broken. It wasn't like the whole tooth came out, and everything was fine. And I forgot about it because I didn't really need to think about it. And then fast forward a bunch of years, and I had gotten cast to be Spider-Man in The Spectacular Spider-Man. Thank you. And then 3 episodes in, I wake up and I breathe in and I feel very, very startling cold in my mouth. And I feel a very familiar thing, and I spit out that piece of fake tooth, which has been there, and it's record day, and I'm supposed to go and record and be Spider-Man. So I call my agent, and I'm like, so I seem to have lost a tooth, and should I still go to Spider-Man? And they were like, nope, you need to get that taken care of. So I went back to the exact same dentist, and he was much older by this time, and he basically fixed that tooth again. And yeah, it wasn't until I'd say about 3 years ago where I had to basically do the same thing again. But this time I got like a veneer or a porcelain replacement, and it shouldn't happen again. But
Jeez,
yeah,
that's unbelievable.
yeah, one thing can follow you around. One accident follows you around for a lot of
Do you
your
still
career.
play with pool tables?
Yes, but I don't just throw the balls around.
Right.
And I actually take a little step back. Like, it's weird. It actually has changed the way that I play pool. If I'm playing pool, I kind of hang back and
Mouth guard.
yeah.
And then jump back.
Flashbacks, those memories come
Those
back.
little balls are hard. They're very hard.
It's a hazard. They should sell masks. They should sell protective gear.
The mouth guard, yeah.
Or make softer balls, maybe.
Yeah, that would either way.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. Deep in there, so.
All right, so another question I have for you guys is if you guys have had any like mentors that have like really guided you along the way, or like any good advice that you would have to people who want to follow in that path and become a voice actor.
Go to medical school.
Oh.
That's my advice to you.
Can you explain? Can you elaborate on that?
No, I'm kidding. If this is something you really want to do, then obviously do it. But you need to train to do this. A lot of people come to me and say, people tell me I have a great voice, and that's great, but you need to be more than a great voice. You need to bring that dialogue off the page and bring it to life. So you have to train as an actor, you have to take speech classes, and you just have to be the best actor you can, read out loud, because most of the work that we do, we don't get to see the scripts until we go in the booth. So you have to cold read a performance. It has to be really good, and that's an art form in itself, and a lot of actors, really good actors, can't do that. So if you want to be competitive and you want to work in this business, that's something you really have to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold reading is probably one of the most important skills you can have for this business. And improv, you know, take an improv class, get used to looking silly and not caring. That's another big thing. But yeah, read out loud as much as possible, because you need to develop that muscle.
Yep, definitely.
Awesome. Do you guys have any cool, memorable interactions with fans?
No.
No? Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that I've had fans come up to me and it's weird. Like, we go into the booth and we record and we kind of forget about these things because it's one of a number of jobs that we might do that week or that month or whatever. But we forget that these things have a life that they kind of take on after we've left the booth. And these characters that we've voiced and these shows that we've been in can mean so much more to other people when they see it. It can help them through hard times in their life. It can help them through things that they're coping with, like PTSD or whatever. They can find representation for themselves in that character. And I mean, a lot of the fan interactions that I've had that have really stuck out to me have been when I've just been sitting at the autograph table and somebody comes up and they tell me how this character really helped them through a hard time. And I mean, those are the kind of things that I always remember because it's one, humbling, and two, really almost inspiring, where it makes you kind of want to come to the job every time and give your, I mean, if you're not already giving your best, to give even more, because this is going to live on past you and it's going to affect other people. And yeah, I mean, I'm affected every time somebody comes to me with a really heartfelt story for a project I may have been involved in and how it helped them. Those are the ones that always stick out to me.
Yeah, I'm really excited that I started doing conventions because I didn't really realize some of the shows that I worked on, how much they affected a lot of people, especially Steven Universe. I mean, that show is just like, Rebecca Sugar, come on, she's so amazing. She just really like has her finger on the pulse of just so many awesome, I don't know, ideas basically. Sure. But selfishly, what always is cool to me is like, I don't know, you're at a fast food place and you order something and someone's like, "Are you Ashley from Mass Effect?" And I'm like, you can tell that from me ordering a cheeseburger right now. I just think that's amazing. Because, you know, it's different than on-camera actors that get recognized. Right. So, yeah, that's always a little bit cool. I've had that happen a few times and I'm like, a little ego stroke for myself.
Do you ever like pull out the character voices in the drive-thru? I feel like that's a thing that I would do that.
I don't know, I've never done that.
No? I use them with telemarketers.
Oh,
I just have fun, yeah. I try to get them to hang up first.
Oh, that's good.
See if they can just get tired of me.
I got to start doing that.
It's so much fun.
The fans are awesome. I have to say, you guys are awesome. You're really great, and you make us feel welcome, and we love you guys, and you know, you're a big part of the reason we do this work, so thank you.
We would literally not be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, if you guys want to start lining up for questions, I'll probably ask one more, and then I'll open it up to the Q&A. So there's a mic over there and over there.
And if it's not a good question, they'll put you in the grinder backstage, because it's really, really loud back there.
But at least there's good music, so.
Yeah.
I just want to say that she's good. This girl right here is on point. She's got a notepad. She's got it organized. She's got boom, 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 boom. Great job.
Thank you so
Great job.
much.
I've done so many cons with no moderator. And it was like, okay, let's talk about pizza now. I like pizza. You like pizza? Everyone likes pizza.
I do too. There's a misconception that the cheese kind of will mess up your voice, but it's never been a problem for me. I'll get a nice cheese pizza right before I record.
He's this Wolfgang Puck guy anyway.
Okay, my last question I got for you guys is if you guys have any advice or just like experiences from auditioning specifically.
I would say like just go in, do your best, and forget about it. Right. Don't let it hang in your head. Don't say, oh, like check all the time for your email and say, oh, I want to get this part so bad. When you obsess over it, it's going to make the inevitable rejection so much harder to take. Because, I mean, all of us up here are pretty successful in the field that we're in, and we don't get 95% of the roles we audition for, or more. I mean, you're not going to get most of the things you read on, so you need to just let it go, let it out of your head. Enjoy the audition. Enjoy that you're putting that performance together. Have fun with it, and then just let it go.
It's true.
I look at the audition as a chance to just do it the way I want to do it, you know? Because a lot of times we do these auditions at home, and there's no director there, so you basically have to be self-direct yourself, and you get an opportunity to say, this is the way I want to do it, and hopefully what you bring to it is going to be different than the 9,000 other people that are auditioning for the same part. Most of them are going to do the exact same thing. And I know as a director listening to these auditions, it's like, they're like Xeroxed off, That was a company a long time ago. Used to make copies. I didn't get the reference.
I know.
Xerox?
I'm running with your fax thing, you know.
Word.
I still have a fax machine, FYI.
I still have a fax machine.
Yeah, me too.
Can't relate. Sorry. Okay, cool. Let's have some fan questions. Let's
Talk
start.
about fax machines.
Yeah, any fax machine questions are immediately
We could all
in front
fax
of a
to
line.
each other.
Yeah.
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 We could fax
Just
each
a
other.
fax, man. Just a fax.
We could fax the world.
Can I just say, oh, you're about to ask your question?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to say, or?
Oh, I was just going to say about my advice was I'm a real believer in visualization. And because everyone who's ever achieved anything they wanted to success, they visualize themselves doing that. And I think that's why Rebecca Sugar's awesome too, because she talks about that kind of stuff. But anyway, and just believe in yourself. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. And like Josh was saying, don't take the audition personally. If you don't get it, if it's not personal, it's just, you know, you just maybe weren't right for that role, but you'll be, when you're right for the role you are right for, you know what I mean? Don't take it personally. It's just the way it's meant to be. But
For sure.
believe in yourself. But anyway.
Awesome.
Well said, well said.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my advice.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's open it up to questions then. Right here. Can't hear you.
Is the mic hot?
We got some technical
Let's
difficulties.
hang on.
And when you're going to speak into the mic, this just goes for everybody. Speak like right into the middle of the top of the mic.
Yeah, if you think you're too close, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for Josh Keaton.
Yes.
I'm a real fan of your Jones' work for Splatterhouse, and I was wondering, is there a possible sequel to the game? And if you can answer this question, what would the possible candidates to play Rick Taylor and Terra Mask before you?
I'm sorry, say one more time. I missed the second half of the question.
Who are the possible candidates to play Rick Taylor and the Terra Mask before you and Jim?
I actually did. We're having some trouble hearing on the speaker, but are you asking about the previous game?
Splatterhouse.
Okay. I played the previous game, but I don't know if they had a lot of voice acting on that, because that was back before that was really a thing. So I did play the original game. I think it was on.
No, I'll ask him about the character that you voiced.
About Rick Taylor.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
having
I
trouble.
didn't really. You're saying who is the head canon? Is that what you said?
No, I was asking who was the would it be a sequel to the game Splatterhouse?
Oh, will there be a sequel?
Yeah, and who are the possible candidates to play?
Oh,
I have no idea. I have no idea if there's going to be a sequel. I would hope that if Rick Taylor's in the game, that I'd be in the running at least, for sure. But I have no idea if they're going to do a sequel for that.
Okay, and who is then my second question, who are the other people, or the possible candidates before you and Jim to play Terra Mask and Rick?
I don't know. I don't even know who they would
Who originally
who they would look to get.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's keep it to one question just so we can get as many as possible. Let's go over here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So, before I ask the question, I'm just gotta say to the Voltron people, I just started watching Voltron. It's pretty good so far.
Sweet. Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so who is your favorite person to work with?
Well, we got to say each other, Josh.
Yeah,
We don't have a
yeah,
choice.
of course. Kimberly.
Right there.
Kimberly is my. Honestly, that's not really that much of a lie. Kimberly's awesome. Kimberly is
Josh
so
is awesome,
supportive.
thank you.
Kimberly always comes in with a smile and a positive attitude and has nice things to
Aw,
say.
thank
No,
you.
Kimberly is fantastic.
You're sweet.
And she brings it because Kimberly has so much expository dialogue in Voltron. She has these massive, massive paragraphs of stuff. And she gets through it, no problem, all the time.
Oh,
So
you're
Kimberly's
sweet.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And you're amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think the entire cast is amazing.
Yes.
And we do miss Andrea Romano. I don't know if you're familiar with like the best voiceover animation director ever.
Yes.
She recently retired, but we're lucky enough. This was her last show, Voltron, so we were lucky enough to get to work with her. So
Yes.
that's who we love working with.
Yeah. A really good director can make or break a show because, and Andrea really created a very, very safe environment for everybody to be creative and just explore interesting things about the scene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, over here.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
This is for Kimberly. I was just wondering if Jasper how do you think Jasper would react to ever meeting Zarya from Overwatch? Because they're, both buff, beautiful,
cheese
perfect
puff.
women. So how do you think Jasper would react to meeting her?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. She would probably say she's weak and puny. But maybe she might recognize something in her, and who knows? She needs a friend. So
True.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty contentious, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, over here, Pearl.
Hello?
Hello. Hi. My question is also for Kimberly. Would you be willing to say like a cheesy pickup line in Jasper's voice?
A cheesy pickup line?
Yes.
Are you from Tennessee? You're the only 10 I see.
Wait, say that.
Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see. I mean,
Wait, are you?
She's got some lines.
I'm saying
That's good.
That's the
I'm
question.
gonna
steal
use
that.
that
I'm
one.
just gonna steal it. That's really good. I'm gonna use that like in life.
Okay.
Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see.
Thank you.
That is such a good line.
It's awesome.
Do people use
You
that?
must have heard that somewhere, huh?
No, I did not make it up.
Where did you get that?
I'm from Tennessee, so maybe that's maybe that's it.
Come
I gotta get to
somewhere.
Tennessee.
Oh yeah. All right,
That's a
cool.
keeper. Put that one in your back pocket.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hi. I'm Zonger 12, and I have a question for Kimberly and Atwood.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Is this a
This
first?
is a kind of a technical question.
It's because we're women.
So I'm doing an animation series called Zonger 12's Universe. And so the team members aren't actually like made up characters. They're like actual people. So, yeah, so is there like a different way to like think of them? Like they're real people playing like characters, like playing themselves. So I was wondering if like that's strange.
You mean the characters that you're writing are based on real people?
Yes, they are actual real people, yeah.
Oh, I think that's a great way to make a character. Yeah.
It seems like an easy way to like, develop the characters because you have some foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
And drawing from someone you know in real life makes it a lot easier. And it doesn't have to be like a one-to-one copy. You can add it on and exaggerate things, but I think that's
you
a
have
great way
a
to make them
foundation,
feel
and then
real.
you can-
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know them in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Expand on that. Maybe change the names though.
Yeah.
Depending on what you do with the character.
Yeah.
Hey, can you actually sign something of mine?
Can what? Sorry.
Can you actually sign something of mine?
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. I don't have a pen though.
All right, cool. Can
I
we
hope you have a marker.
One over here.
This is for Josh and Kimberly.
Yes.
I was wondering if both of you could say form Voltron, because
right.
I'm just a big fan.
All right. Form Voltron. Thank you.
Did you say Form Voltron?
Yeah, she wanted you to say it too.
I missed it.
You got it. Pick
I
it
never
up.
get to say it. Have I said it?
No, you've never.
I don't get to say it.
Say it. Say it now.
This is your chance.
Form Voltron. It doesn't sound the same. It has to be Shiro. It has to be. Damn it.
Awesome. All right, back over here.
Alrighty, perfect. Hey, so I am someone who wants to eventually voice act myself, but I'm curious about the best way just to get started with it. I know it's a lot of time in business, it's who you know, but is there any like big thing that you could like, how to get your first gig or anything like that?
Well, the business has changed a lot now. Before, it really had to be, the only way that you could even be a voice actor was on a network show or on a film, but now, I mean, you have YouTube channels, you have all kinds of streams where you can create your own content, you know, and you could team up with other people. Like maybe you want to find somebody that wants to be an animator, or somebody that's a character designer, and you could do animatics, or you can, you know, use existing footage and mash it up and dub your own stuff. I mean, there's so many more outlets for somebody that's looking to get into it, and basically that's kind of like your resume at that point. If you're not involved in the you know, the world that we're involved in, this can still be kind of like your backlog. I have a friend of mine who he used to do his internet stuff, his internet impressions. His name's John Bailey. He does the Honest Trailer reviews. He's a buddy of mine, and I mean, he came up through cons and just interviewing people and putting stuff up on his YouTube channel, and now he's in LA working with us. I mean, he works on animation. He does a lot of voice matches for a lot of people. He basically made himself. So there's no shortage of opportunity on the internet, and you know, you just got to make your own stuff.
I've actually been doing a lot of stuff with like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, just starting out with that, like the whole improv thing, like you were saying. So, yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Back over here.
Good luck.
Hi there.
Hey, Pidge.
Hi, bitch.
What is the best way to find a voice acting job? Like, just, you're saying that you start out in musical theater, but what after that? Once you want to start actually voice acting, like, how does that work?
Are you asking me?
Anybody.
Anyone.
Everybody. Yeah.
Again, yeah, I would say, you know, making your own content would be the best thing to do, because again, you can promote that, and social media is becoming a more and more important part of even our side of the business, because it's no secret now that even on this side of the business, like, if there's two people up for the same part and one has a much bigger social media following, they're probably going to get the job because they have a built-in fan base already. So you want to already start doing that kind of stuff. I would say there's a couple things. There's a website that a friend of, I'm sure all of ours, D. Bradley Baker, runs. He's a really, really amazing voice actor, called iwannabeavoiceactor.com. There's a lot of great resources there. There's the voiceover resource guide, which you can Google and find out about that. That'll have listings for agents and demo producers and things like that. So basically, once you know, and you should never stop training, but you know, when you want to give it a go, then you might want to start looking into getting a demo produced and shopping that around. But I mean, again, your own content could be your demo. So just start making stuff.
And I don't know if you guys were here Thursday, but there was a gentleman I did a panel with by the name of Rob Carter. He's the voice of Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, Balrog in Street Fighter, et cetera, so forth and so on. He has a studio in Norcross where he teaches people who want to break into the industry how to get into the industry. And it's called neighborhoodstudios.com. Rob Carter is the CEO of that corporation, and he teaches people how to break into the business. He has a studio here in Atlanta, in Norcross. So look up neighborhoodstudios.com and give Rob Carter a holler, and he'll help you out.
Awesome.
Excellent advice.
I want to add one thing on that. Just something that's helped me improve a lot is joining a bridge series, because it just gives you the experience. It's it's an online thing. People just do it because they're passionate about it and they think it's fun. And you can learn so much just through experience and getting behind a microphone and performing, even for something silly like that, you know? And then there's people who get into anime dubbing and stuff because of their work on a bridge series. It's nuts these days.
Yeah.
So I think it's something very beneficial too.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back over here.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Any suggestions of how to get better at cold reading? At cold readings?
Read aloud a lot and make sure you enunciate and pronunciate your words. Over the top is great. It's better to be told to tone it down than to bring it up.
That's
Okay,
true.
thank you.
And as often as possible to whoever, your dog, your cat, if you have brothers or sisters, just, pick up anything. Doesn't even matter. It could be Dr. Zeus. It could be do they even have phone books anymore? You could just, Wikipedia, anything.
Okay, thank you. Oh, by the way, I really love your work, Josh. I really love your
Thank you.
Voltron and your Steven Universe work for Ashley.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back over here.
Hi.
So I have a question for Kimberly. I know that the Crewverse is really, really secretive, but could you give us any kind of hints for the future of Jasper, like if there might be an upcoming arc, or her getting a song, or finding out about the big reveal that we just had that I'm not even going to say in case anyone like hasn't seen it?
Well, luckily I'm not in a position to even give you any spoilers because I haven't recorded anything. So, but when I recorded that PSA with Rebecca not that long ago, the Dove thing, I'm just saying the look she gave me when I asked her, "Are you bringing Jasper back?" I took it as a very positive sign. Maybe it was wishful thinking, but basically I think she said, there's no evil, there's no bad characters, she says. So there has to be redemption, right? So I really hope that they will bring her back. Jasper needs that her story to be told too. So fingers crossed. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, question over here.
All right. First things first. Bato, I love you.
Thank you.
But my question is for Josh Keaton.
Yes.
Josh, you were Jack in Transformers Prime.
Yes.
What's your favorite memory from that show?
Oh man, getting to work with Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. I mean
They're legends.
That was they are legends and living legends that you know I grew up listening to them and to actually be in a room with them and seeing them go back and forth and just like have these impersonation conversations where you know like I would hear Frank Welker as President Obama talking to John Wayne. Peter Cullen and like just saying all kinds of inappropriate things.
Crazy.
And it was amazing. It was like seeing stuff from my childhood just right there, and I'm buddies with them. And I definitely fanned out the first episode when I went in to record that, and they're just such nice guys. Like they're really really great people. Everybody on that show was fantastic. I ended up becoming really good friends with Kevin Michael Richardson because of that show. Yeah, it's just it was an incredible experience, and I used to love Transformers. You know, we didn't really have a lot of money when I was growing up, so I didn't have a bunch of them. I had Soundwave, and that was about it. And I had like a couple of the cassettes. But I always wanted an Optimus Prime, and I finally have one now. But yeah, no, it was an amazing experience.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have to say, do you agree that people in the voice-over community are generally really nice for the most
Yes,
part,
absolutely.
as opposed to the people that you work with on camera, which a lot of them are very nice, but there's always that 5% of them that are not so nice.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to me because, you know, everyone in the voiceover, everyone usually is just super nice and really great to work with. You know, there's a few bad people, I guess, but they don't last long.
Yeah.
But whereas on camera people, it's a whole different kind of thing. You know?
It really
You find
is.
that
I find it completely true. That's probably one of the reasons I love voiceover so much. It really is like an extended family. You work with a lot of the same people. The new ones that come up who are really, really talented and good to work with, they become a new part of the family. It's a great business. It really is.
It is.
All right, cool. Right over here.
Good afternoon, panel. Sherman Williams.
Hey.
So my question is to you all is, in moments of stagnation, when there's really nothing happening, you know, you've tried out for some gigs, you haven't heard any answers back, not necessarily the focus of getting discouraged, just what do you do while you're waiting? You know, do you just rapidly go for more gigs, or do you start your own projects, or what do y'all typically do?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You make your own projects and you keep auditioning for gigs. That's really all you can do. And live your life.
Yeah.
You know, like I would say there is a danger where you become so obsessed with one aspect of your career that you don't take time to go and just enjoy the world, because a lot of your characters are going to come from your own experiences and people that you meet. And if you're constantly just nose to the grindstone all the time, you're not really going to be meeting anybody new. You're not really going to be having these new experiences which are going to give color to your characters. So, I mean, you still gotta enjoy yourself. You still gotta to try to get out there and enjoy life, and still keep working on stuff. You know, just because you might not be getting stuff at the time. You know, just still be improving your skills in some other way. Use that as training time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question. All right, Pinky.
Hi.
Hi.
So can I just say I'm a huge fan of you, Josh Keaton.
Thank you.
And Voltron has really sent me on an emotional road trip here recently. But my question is for Kimberly, actually. So how do you switch to different voices? Like, you go from being Alora to Jasper, who's like really gruff, and Alora's like not. How can you like maintain all of that and still like have the same voice for each different character, especially on series going on at the same time?
Wow, thank you for that question. Well, I have a lot of voices in my head, and I finally figured out how to sort of manage them. I've just, like Richard was saying, since I was a kid, I started doing voices and plays and puppet shows and stuff. So as an actor, we kind of develop our little bag of tricks, I like to call it. And so I start with the acting, as Josh was saying before, where it's not, and also Richard was saying, it's not just about the voice. It's just, I'm lucky enough to work on shows that have just great writing, and people have thought these characters out, and I get to come and just add my flavor to it. So I guess that's one of the skill sets that I'm lucky enough to have, to have that versatility. And I just love doing what I do, so I don't know. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Thanks so much.
Kimberly, can you tell the story about the Sears refrigerator salesperson?
Yeah, that was weird because someone asked me how I came up with the voice of Jasper, because it's so far from where I really sound, and I remember being in the studio not knowing what I was going to do, because this happens a lot of times. We show up and they just, I didn't even have the script before, so it was like, she just described what she wanted in the character, and when she was describing it, I remembered this woman that I had recently bought a refrigerator from named Betty. And she was like the toughest chick I ever met. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this refrigerator because I feel like I have to. And so she was my motivation, and I told that story at a convention like this, and it just, I don't know what the term is when it becomes a meme. A meme.
That's the term, yeah.
And I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. Someone actually brought a drawing, an awesome drawing of Jasper carrying a refrigerator to me today, and I just thought that was hilarious. So that was my motivation for that particular character.
Right.
But it's weird. I don't think of myself as like, oh, I do all these different voices, because I do a lot of like promo work and commercials, and where I really just kind of get to use my own voice, but it's the attitude and things that change. So I'm lucky that I've got to do a few roles where I actually change my voice and become this other character, but it's fun. It's the same. We all do the same thing. Thank you.
All right, cool. Back over here.
Yeah, hey guys, I was curious, anytime you guys are trying out for a new video game or trying out for a new animation, if you get the auditions, after you record the auditions and you're sending the material in, if you yourself are submitting the audition, do you, aside from the audio files, do you add any kind of message or anything when you send it in, especially if it's like a new studio you've never worked with, or do you just send the audio file, that's it?
Well, our situation might be a little bit different from yours, because most of the time we get the auditions straight from our agents, and our agents do the submission. So we basically just send them the file and title it appropriately so they know what character it is and who it's coming from, and then they take care of all of that.
Okay.
And you got.
If you were submitting it yourself, is there anything you would include first time sending it to a new studio, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say something friendly, but keep it short, because they're going to be looking through a ton of them. So, nothing that's really going to cause that much of a delay. But yeah, something friendly. Okay. It's fine.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good question.
All right, question?
Hey, this is kind of like specifically for Josh, but not specifically. How do you deal with, like, when you have long hours or something, how do you deal with, like, your kids and stuff like that?
How do I deal with
like keeping in touch with them and like keeping a
Oh,
connection
fans.
and that kind of well, kids.
Kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
Okay. Fortunately, voiceover is such that I mean, you do have a fair amount of free time. I do a lot of my work from home, and it's great. I mean, it allows me to really see. You were asking about kids, right? Spend the
Yeah.
time. Okay, cool. Just because I'm having so much trouble hearing everybody up here.
It's so loud.
Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I tend to work a lot from home, so it's really just animation and video games where I actually have to get out of the house. But like Kimberly, I do commercial work as well. I do promo work, and all of that, and auditioning I can do from the house. So I actually get to see my kids quite a bit. I guess the biggest times I'm away from them would be at a con like this. But yeah. I mean, there's still plenty of time. There's definitely plenty of time for me to see
And
them.
they're so cute and little.
Oh, thank you.
They're so adorable.
They're so
His kids
sweet.
are beautiful.
is there any chance I could get a picture?
Yeah, I mean, can you wait till after the
Yeah.
panel just so we can get through? Awesome, thanks.
All right, back over here, like the Steven shirt. How's it going?
Thank you. Hello. First of all, I just want to say a belated happy birthday to you, McKenzie.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I heard just 21, so
Yeah, I
happy
just turned
birthday.
21 like a week ago, so.
Happy belated.
You're legal. You're legal.
And
Thank
my question is for Kimberly. I know you mentioned the Dove project, the self-esteem project, and just even the little bit of time that you had voicing Jasper, there was a lot of different just voice inflections. And now that I've heard your normal speaking voice, how is it ever difficult to voice Jasper at any given time?
It really, for some reason, that character just sits right in this place down here, like the diaphragm thing we were talking about. So I use the singing muscles and all of that stuff and to basically do Jasper. And like you said, it's not, I mean, she had a few kind of big scenes where, yeah, there was some vocal stress, but nothing crazy. Video games are a lot more stressful on the voice, and because you're doing it for a longer period of time, a 4-hour session, recording by yourself. And I've pretty much stopped doing Call of Duty and all of those games because all I did was scream, and it wasn't worth it because I couldn't work in other areas. But Jasper, it sits in a nice place kind of just down here, and it's actually kind of comfortable because it's, I don't know, it's just bassy, and I use my diaphragm. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, over here.
Okay, I have a question for McKenzie Atwood.
These are my friends. Hi. Well, how's it going?
Doing good. As an aspiring voice actor yourself, I wanted to know if you could speak on your experiences as an intern on Steven Universe, and if you felt like that's been beneficial to you and your goals.
It definitely was beneficial because I got to go sit in on voice sessions, which was a blast. That was like my first day. I came in, like my first day as an intern, and I came downstairs and I sat in on a voice session, and Estelle was there, and everybody was there, and I was just like, I didn't even know what to think. So it was really cool. It was very beneficial for me seeing, watching the pros at work. Because there's a lot of physical stuff that you don't see too. Like Zach in particular, who voices Steven, his hands are all over the place when he's acting. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Thanks, MK.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
That was cute.
All right, over here, I think we have one more question, so.
Okay, so do any of the voice actors up there have any experiences in the past where you were offered a role that you rejected, and you either regret rejecting that role because the show or whatever that role would have been involved in was really good, or roles that you were happy that you rejected because the source material ended up being really bad, like the final product, not source material? I don't know. Any roles that you rejected that you have feelings about?
I haven't. Yeah, no, I don't think I've rejected any work. But I haven't really been sent out on anything that was questionable. Like everything has been pretty above board.
Pretty wholesome.
Yeah.
There was one time, we have a company, my wife and I, and we do a lot of this work. And there was one project, it was about violence to women, and we just didn't want anything to do with it, to be honest with you, so we just kind of bowed out. But, that sort of thing doesn't happen often, but, I think that, sometimes you play bad characters are bad people and you just kind of have to jump in and do it. But I think if there's something that you kind of have a moral repugnance to, you should step away from it.
Make sure that the message is good, even if the character's bad.
Right.
Yeah. Right. All right. I think that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for coming. Sorry if we didn't get to your questions.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
All right, let's go get drunk.
Let's go get. There should be drinks waiting for us as soon as we step on stage.